time, this is a makeup lecture for what we missed. I will schedule another one. It depends on how much time left for us to cover what is left. Then I'll see how I can schedule another lecture. So last time I said that probably some of you or maybe all of you can attend. And if not, they can always go back and listen to the recorded lecture. Last time I finished talking about Macbeth in terms of the dramatic structure, and we discussed the elements of Shakespearean tragedy and how we can find them, how they are applicable on the play. Today I will talk more about some of these points. I will also emphasize some of the themes, and then I'll wait for inshallah tomorrow Sunday so I can start talking about the comedy, or probably I might also wait for some of your questions regarding today's material. So you give me please a couple of seconds so I can access my material. I can see Afnan logged in, so that's good. Maybe some other girls will also attend. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Afnan. I'm glad you are here. It means that all of you had my email about the makeup class, and I have just started. I was mentioning the fact that this is one makeup lecture, and I'm going to plan another one. It depends on how much time I need to cover what is left to cover. So if most of you are absent, you can always, of course, go back to the lecture and listen to it. Last time I covered a number of details regarding Shakespearean tragedy, the dramatic structure of Macbeth, and we tried to locate, to trace the characteristics of Shakespearean tragedy and the dramatic structure related to that on the play. Is that clear, Afnan? Okay, good. So now I'll have just a couple of seconds. I need to access the material I need to continue. Today I'm going to emphasize some aspects of the Shakespearean tragic hero. I'll focus on Macbeth, and I will also discuss some important themes related to the tragedy, and also the relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, her characteristics, because she's one of the most powerful female characters in Shakespeare's plays, and namely in his tragedies. I hope also that this is clear. I'll need a couple of seconds to access my email and then, the material, and then I will continue. Thank you. So let me start talking about Lady Macbeth first, and then I will talk about Macbeth, of course, the character. So I have already mentioned that most critics who examined, of course, the play Macbeth found that Lady Macbeth is one of Shakespeare's most challenging characters, female characters. Lady Macbeth as a character provides a challenge to the norms of the English Renaissance society. So the period of time in which Shakespeare lived and wrote his plays, namely the Renaissance, the society had its own norms. And the reason why we find Lady Macbeth a challenging character, if not the most challenging characters, is that she challenges the norms of the English Renaissance society. So Shakespeare wrote Macbeth with Lady Macbeth as a character for a specific purpose. So one of the purposes is to challenge the norms of that society. So she's the first one to encourage her husband to kill King Duncan. And she has more ambition at the beginning than Macbeth himself does. So she tries to find ways to motivate Macbeth, her husband, and she's exercising sort of control, and she's also aware of the control she can exert over her husband. And we find also that whether Macbeth had an ambition or more ambition after the first murder he committed, to continue for his own aspiration to have control and to be king and to reach a level of power. She's behind Macbeth committing more murders, and she also planned the first murder. The main problem with Lady Macbeth's aspiration is that women were not allowed to act on their ambitions. So the first reason why we find her a challenging character also to the norms of the society, it is because her aspirations as a woman were not actually, I wouldn't say accepted, but they were not allowed to be actually delivered or talked about. And men in general were the only characters who, despite their greed, power or violence, they were the only ones who are allowed to act accordingly. So Shakespeare had, of course, a reason behind the characterization of Lady Macbeth. He wanted to show that women also can be similar to men in these aspirations, whether greed, power, violence. At one point, Macbeth himself in the play describes her as a man in a woman's body, and she even wishes at some point in the play that she were not a woman, so she could commit the murders herself. So Macbeth recognized and realized that she is actually a woman acting like a man, power and violence wise, and at some point she wishes she were not a woman, so that she herself could commit the murders. And many other plays by Shakespeare showed that this aspect, this aspiration for women and men to be equal. So in Macbeth, Shakespeare wants to show that men and women are equals in both good and evil, not only in good or not only in evil, but in both aspects. So Macbeth himself, as if he were speaking in Shakespeare's words, he says, "Undaunted metal should compose nothing but males." This is in Act 1, Scene 7. Then Shakespeare argues the other side by showing that Lady Macbeth has much power as her husband. So this implies that a woman can be as ambitious and as cruel as a man, even though she is not allowed to pursue this ambition on her own. There is a strong manipulation, emotional manipulation, that Lady Macbeth actually exercises on her husband. She even questions his manhood. She shows her remarkable strength, and she plans for Duncan's murder. It is she who actually pushes her husband to kill Duncan. She plots and plans, and until Macbeth himself immediately committed this first murder. And she's similar to Macbeth, however. Lady Macbeth has a tendency for illusion, for madness, and she has a more intense inclination to insanity. She shows more ambition before the crime. She feels the guilt more strongly after. So she has this dilemma between guilt and like ambition for power before committing the crime or before planning for the crime, and then she strongly feels guilt. She starts having hallucinations, seeing blood on her hand. She also feels that she's extremely guilty, and this fact makes her inner torment, conflict, very strong. Her madness is, and her hallucinations are so strong to the point that she can actually walk while sleeping through the castle, and she tries to wash away this imaginary blood she can see on her hands. She ultimately wants also to kill herself, and she did, signaling her total inability to control this madness and to deal with the crimes committed, whether plotting or encouragement for the crimes to Macbeth himself. Is that clear so far? Afnan, at least, since you're here. Good. So, since I was talking about blood, this imaginary blood that Lady Macbeth can see on her hands, she imagines, etc., we can talk about blood, of course, as a symbol. It's a very important symbol in the play. You can see that the play actually is built on violence and blood, and Macbeth, the play, is seen as one of Shakespeare's most violent and bloodiest plays. And here, blood is not simply, of course, this red fluid flowing through the veins and arteries in our body. It is used as a symbol throughout the play. So actually the word the word blood is referenced 42 times in the play. It means the word blood was mentioned, was cited 42 times in the play. And blood doesn't only symbolize actually violence and murder. It also symbolizes guilt and family. So how does it symbolize guilt. First, blood refers to legal guilt and to a guilty conscience. King Duncan is killed, and after, so this is how it represents guilt. First of all, blood refers to legal guilt. Guilt, it means that this fact of committing a murder, and to have also a guilty conscience. It means that this sense of guilt after committing the murder. After King Duncan is killed, one of the ways that Lady Macbeth frames the guards is to spread Duncan's blood on their bodies while they sleep. So what she did is that she actually spread the blood on the guards' bodies while they were asleep. In this case, blood proves who committed this crime. So Lady Macbeth is trying to accuse someone else of the murder. She says, "If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt." This was in Act 2, Scene 2. And also, Lady Macbeth has to dip her hands in King Duncan's blood in order to, prove that the guards committed or are involved in the murder. She's left with blood on her hands, and at first she takes pride in the mess. She was proud that she plotted against Duncan and she dipped her hands in his blood. She said also in Act 2, Scene 2 for Macbeth, "My hands are of your color." It means now I have red heads, red hands full of blood as you. But I shame to wear a heart so white. So how can I have a heart, a white heart, and have hands of your color, having blood? She means that her hands are bloody, they are full of blood, and she would be ashamed to pretend to have a white and white heart. It means a coward and bloodless heart as such. It means how can she plot against someone, be proud of the mess, and at the same time pretend that she has like a heart. So this is a sign of shame for her. Later also, Lady Macbeth is driven to madness. She starts seeing and imagining and blood. She hallucinates about blood. She can feel, of course, the blood was not real. She just imagines it after that on her hands. She's trying to wash her hands all the time with a non-existent blood. When we get one of the most famous lines in the play, "Out, damned spot, out, I say, 1, 2, why then, it's time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie, a soldier and a third. What need we fear, who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet, who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him?" That was in Act 5, Scene 1, after her, after the murder was committed. So she keeps screaming, "Out, damned spot." It means she's talking to the blood, which is a non-existent blood. It's an imagined blood on her hands. "Out, I say, 1, 2, why then it's time to do it." And the idiom "to have blood on one's hands," it means this guilt to have and to have moral responsibility towards any action taken. Is that clear so far? Faten also joined us. Is it clear, Faten, what I was saying? Lina is also here. So those who just joined us, Faten and Lina, I would like to remind you that this is a makeup class. Of course, you're just 15 to 20 minutes probably late. You can always go back to the recorded lecture and listen to the first part. All what I said was that this is a continuation to where I stopped last time. It's actually a discussion of Lady Macbeth's characterization and Macbeth himself, how both of them are basic and interesting elements of the Shakespearean tragedy. We talked about Lady Macbeth as one of the most powerful female characters in the play, if not in all of Shakespeare's plays. And then I moved to talk about the symbol of blood as it is a very important symbol in the play. And now I will talk about guilt. Yes, because she feels guilty. She's torn between guilt and aspiration for power. She's encouraged to commit and to plot murder, but after the murder happens, she feels a lot of guilt and she starts hallucinating about blood. And then now we'll talk about this idea of family, which is the second symbol. Yes, exactly, Fatin. So, blood also in the play doesn't only referring to guilt, murder, and responsibility or violence. It also symbolizes family. Blood also symbolizes family and family relations. Macbeth told Malcolm and Donalbain of their father's murder. He said, Macbeth, the spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped. The very source of it is stopped. That was in Act 2, Scene 3. So, here talking about the spring, the head, the fountain of your blood, it means he's referring to their father, Duncan, as the fountain of their blood. And Macbeth here alludes to blood also as giving essence, as a donation of life, because without blood people cannot live. And here there is a reference to their father and how he's murdered, so their blood is over. There is no continuity in the family, probably. Later also, Donalbain says to his brother, the near is blood, the nearer bloody. That was in Act 2, Scene 3. He means that as the murdered king's sons, they are likely to be murdered themselves. So probably the plot was not against their father only, but also against his sons as well. So blood here has a double meaning for both family and also death and murder. And at the banquet also, Macbeth sees Macduff's ghost. So he says, they say blood will have blood. We see the same double meaning, that the family of a murder victim will seek the death of his killer. So here we have also different ways to look at blood by Macbeth. He looks at it as power, as suffering, so as power, he sees it actually as the main thought that poisons his head, and that's what Lady Macbeth does. She actually strengthens this idea and resolves through thickening this idea in his mind. So what she says is, make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse. There is also the idea of suffering. When Macduff comes to believe that Malcolm won't support him in a war against Macbeth, he cries out to his beloved Scotland, bleed, bleed, poor country. So Malcolm reassures him out of love for Scotland, their country. I think our country sinks beneath the woke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. So the country bleeds because it suffers, but it will never actually lose. It's going to gain over, according to what Malcolm says. Is that clear, ladies? Okay, let me have like 5 minutes break and then we'll continue. Just you can think of questions if you have any about what we have just covered as well. So let's continue. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If not, I will continue. Okay, now I will talk about Macbeth, the character, the man. So previously we said that in Aristotle definition of tragedy, he emphasized the idea that tragic hero is or should be a man of high rank or position. But you notice that Macbeth in the play is a protagonist or a tragic hero, and he is just an ordinary man in many ways. There seems to be two men in Macbeth, two personalities, two persons, let's say. So at times when you read the play, he inspires you pity. You identify with the character and you pity the character. And sometimes you loathe the character, you hate the character. And you notice that he has two aspects in his personality. He seems to be a strong and brave warrior and favorite of the king. And also he has a strong imagination and strong emotions, and this duality is present, or this opposition, the presence of two aspects in his personality is seen in everything he does. With every crime, his suffering increases. So he's very human, and he's connected to his body and to the earth, and he's unable to understand the forces he has unleashed, and unable to prevent himself from looking for and seeking out more horror. So he's full of ambition at the beginning, from the start, and he wants to act from the moment he hears the witch's greetings. But also he needed the urging of his wife to push him in the way he wants to go. And after committing a crime and partly fulfilling one part of his ongoing ambition, he feels guilt, and he suffers, and he questions this force inside him, and the reason why it pushes him to not to stop and to ask for more horror and blood. Lady Macbeth tells us many times in the play that about Macbeth, her husband, that he is full of the milk of human kindness. And at times we fail to see this kindness. We believe her, but we fail at times to see this aspect, this kindness. We can see that he is rather a man of contradictions, full of ambition, of good, but also of evil. He wants to have things done the right way, and he actually is actually willing to have them dishonestly. So this is the trouble we have with Macbeth. He actually acts according his ambition, his greed for power and for ease, but at the same time he does things dishonestly, because he achieves actually power not honestly, straightforwardly, but rather through murder, through horror, through violence. He begins the play with his friends and wife, and as a secure man in a secure place in his kingdom, and ends unfortunately isolated and full of self-hatred. He actually hates himself. Another aspect of Macbeth, the ordinary man, is his physicality, the way he looks physically. And this is actually a very obvious mark of his character. His fears produce violent physical reactions, as he finds himself unable to sleep, eat. He hears voices in the night, and he's unable to say Amen. He sees apparitions. He imagines a lot. He feels his hair standing on end. And he falls prey to his own imagination, and he strongly believes implicitly in the supernatural. He believes in what the witches told him. He's very impulsive, and he is unwilling to actually step back. He rushes in everything he does, he thinks about or acts. And his conscience is always committed and active. He suffers more and more after each crime as he strides from crime to crime, and he pushes aside all thoughts of pity when he commits a crime. He is very revolted against his doings, and yet he doesn't stop. So he's full of contradictions, and he pursues his own tragic end. There is sort of a poet in his soul inside, and while he is feeling guilt and expressing his agony after committed crimes, he says, would make the multi-dunamis incarnadine. So here he is saying that actually he's imagining his responsibility and all the guilt he has on his hands. He keeps asking powers of darkness to help him, and says that it were best not to know himself. At the end of the play, we no longer have a secure or actually serene character. We see rather an exhausted man, and full of hallucination, of horror, of guilt. He's unable to mourn even the death of his wife. He could not imagine his wife leaving him in such a manner. And he actually feels bitter about himself. He blames his irrationality, and actually he's bitter about his wasted life. He mourns his life. His deep pain is when he finds himself unable to stop his own rush to evil, and his suffering, his guilt attempt also to spare Macduff, to leave him aching. And he has this capacity, an infinite, a non-stop capacity for suffering on his headlong trip to hell, his helplessness. He prays in vain for a miracle to happen and to stop him from continuing in this vicious circle of murder and horror. And he feels depressed, and he feels anguish at the end of the play. Is that clear, ladies? Yes. He saw a ghost of his own friend still alive. So let me emphasize few more details about Lady Macbeth before I move to talk about the structure, the tragic structure of the play and the order of the play. So I already talked about how she is one of Shakespeare's most striking and challenging characters, and we want to question her responsibility for the tragedy of her own husband. when we first meet her in the play, when she first appears, she has no conscience. She has no conscience and no feelings, no determination to commit any crime or to help her husband committing any crime or to encourage him in any possible way. She is only consumed by her ambition. We see her before Macbeth himself receives this hint about her growing ambition. She is instantly struck by her ambition and possibility of power, and she is determined to empower Macbeth and to challenge his weakness. She always reminds Macbeth of his weakness. She thinks that he's too soft to, as she says, cut the nearest way. And she calls upon the powers of darkness to make her more of a man than of a woman, to take away any female softness and any sort of weakness. She can hardly wait to persuade Macbeth to murder Duncan, and she is also sure of her power to convince Macbeth, her husband, and also to immediately dominates him, so he go on in his own plan. Macbeth says, "My dearest love, Duncan comes here tonight." Lady Macbeth answers, "And when goes hence?" So she also speaks of this great quell of the night's greatest business. And she actually looking forward for the golden round of violence and of ambition. She always blames Macbeth for his weakness, cowardice, and she makes all plans possible to murder Duncan, and also to blame the guards for that. Macbeth wavers later, how she persuades him again with the force of her will, as to continue his long journey into ambition and power. She has one moment of weakness during the actual murder, when Duncan, for a couple of seconds, resembles to her father as he sleeps and prevents her from killing him herself. But she ignores this message, and she thinks that Macbeth should put back the bloody dagger, wash the blood off himself, act as if nothing happened. She actually hides her fear as she confronts Banquo's ghost, and she feels sympathy for Macbeth. We feel at times some sympathy for her when he has to ask permission to see her husband, care for him, and her concern about Macbeth also is growing up. And she actually sinks in more and more in madness, which is caused by her guilt. She fades out of the play. She cries as a woman. She falls to her death. And Macbeth says only that she should have died hereafter when there was time to mourn her, because when he had no power to mourn her. And the final word of her is to Malcolm's when she said, "The fiend-like queen," when he was dismissed. Is that clear? So here I covered already Macbeth as a tragic hero, and also Lady Macbeth and her encouragement for Macbeth to to proceed for his own ambition and for power. Now I will talk about the dramatic structure of the play. So typically we have a clear dramatic structure for a play which has 5 acts. Um, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? I hope you do. I'm sorry for this interruption. The blackboard logged me out all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. I was talking, explaining the point, and all of a sudden I found myself out of the system. I'm sorry for that. At times the blackboard does that. I still ignore the reason why. Yes, the last point I mentioned was the dramatic structure of the play. Do you think, despite this interruption, what I recorded at the beginning was recorded? I hope this doesn't affect the recording of the lecture. This interruption, I mean. Okay, that's good. Yes, the dramatic structure, yes, of the play. That's correct. Let me access my material again. There was no voice, right? Okay, I have to say what I said at the beginning. So, the first aspect in the play, in the dramatic structure, which was quite unusual, is the issue of duality, duplicity, double. There is no linear, obvious aspect in the play. What do we mean by that? We mean that there is an aspect in the play which is real. There is an aspect of reality, and another aspect of what only seems to be real. So there is a sense of illusion. There is duplicity, deceit, and much misunderstanding. And most of this is actually deliberate. It's not, I mean, thought of really in advance. It comes like naturally with the structure of the play. The most obvious reason behind this duality is actually the supernatural. And the supernatural is represented by the presence of the witches. The witches, they speak in paradox, they cast a spell, they keep appearing and disappearing. They appear first before any other character. They are met by Macbeth and his friend Banquo, and later they appear and they are only seen by Macbeth. And there is a threat coming from their presence. Fair is fool and fool is fair. So this is a paradox, and they talk about a battle lost and won, as if it were a very early metaphor about life and conflict, Macbeth's tragic flaw, and his death. So there is a threat also announced by them: fair is fool and fool is fair. The problem also of what is real is seen through the characters. Some characters are openly presenting who they really are, and some characters who don't seem what they really are. So some characters are traitors, overt traitors, such as Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, and the former Thane of Cawdor, who was unseen by Macbeth. There are other characters, though, whose actions are questionable. How friendly Banquo and Macbeth are. How good really is Macduff. He flees the country and leaves his vulnerable family in the path of the murder. Also, how noble are Malcolm and Donalbain, the sons of the king, who also left their family at hard times. What about Ross, who always seems to be where danger is? So there is also a deceit. Lady Macbeth advising Macbeth to commit a murder, to look for power, even in a dishonest manner. So she advises Macbeth, in her own words, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. Macbeth takes her advice to heart and says later, false face must hide what the false heart doth know, and we must make our faces visitors to our heart, disguising what they are. So there is a growing sense of dishonesty, of deceit. They want to act not as they seem, but they act according to what everybody expecting them to be, and they have something else in their heart and deep in their mind. And finally, Macbeth doesn't even know himself. He doesn't want to know my deed were best not know myself. So he refuses to know his real self. It's full of deceit, of illusion, of lies, of dishonesty. The problem also of deceiving is through the confrontation between illusion and reality. I beg your pardon, I'm sorry. Alhamdulillah. Also, lack of reality is seen through illusion. Thank you so much. يهديكم ويصلح بالكم. Thank you. So the other point is the illusion. We have the first item of illusion is the dagger, the tool they use for the murder. And Banquo's ghost, which is seen only by Macbeth. Lady Macbeth's spot of blood, this imaginary blood she continues to see after washing her hands. So there are many twists and paradoxes. And another source of duality is the use of dramatic irony. the audience knows that Macbeth is referring to his terrible deed when he says it was a rough night in answer to Lennox's description of the unruly night. In the same way, the audience knows how wrong Duncan is when he speaks of Macbeth's great love for him. So dramatic irony is when the audience knows more than one of the characters does. When also he thanks Lady Macbeth, the audience knows that death is somewhere for Duncan in the castle. He tells Banquo how even the air of Macbeth's castle sweetly recommends itself to him. It's ironic actually to have Lady Macbeth persuading Macbeth to murder Duncan, and Lady Macbeth has to make appointments to see him. It's ironic also that Macbeth and his Lady Macbeth, in their quest for happiness and glory, drive themselves into madness, death, unhappiness, anxiety. So there are many sort of deliberate methods and uses of character, plot, and supernatural as devices, literary devices, to create this hidden truth and this uneasiness throughout the play. Is that clear? So I will stop here for today. I think that you need some time to digest what we have taken today. Please go back and listen to the lecture as recorded. If you have any questions, inshallah, I will answer them tomorrow. I will emphasize, still I'm not done yet with the reversed dramatic order in the play, and I will emphasize a few more themes, inshallah, tomorrow before I talk about comedy and move to talk about the second play. Okay? Okay. So I'll see you inshallah tomorrow. على أساس الأسبوع اللي باقي اللي هو إن شاء الله هذا آخر أسبوع. إذا كان ناقصنا شيء وما كفانا نغلقه في المحاضرات، طبعا I'm planning a second lecture, so don't worry about that. So till I see you inshallah tomorrow, I wish you a pleasant afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I wish you a good week starting from tomorrow بإذن الله تعالى. بالتوفيق وفي أمان الله. مع السلامة. You are welcome. I hope that you find today's lecture interesting and clear. And inshallah, if you have any questions, inshallah, I will clarify them and answer them tomorrow. And I have few more things to wrap up this first play before I move to the last play. There are only two plays, but the second genre is a comedy. Inshallah, biiznillah. You are the most welcome. Thank you for your attendance. I know it's the weekend. I hope it was quite light on you, and I don't want to keep you for long. I tried to manage what I have to manage for this lecture. I'll keep you not heavy with more material for today. Whatever left, I will continue it tomorrow. Thank you for making this lecture possible. Thank you for attending. I know it's not that easy for the weekend. Thank you so much. في أمان الله، أشوفكم إن شاء الله على خير بكرة بإذن الله وأنتم طيبين. Thank you. مع السلامة.